Has there been a big misunderstanding, or has everyone been searching in the wrong area for the M cave? Hi, welcome back to another M Cave mystery video, Kenny Veach case. So this is quite an important one, okay, and it's more to do with locations. So basically, I held off from making this video for some time now because I was thinking maybe the odd person was slipping up, making a mistake in what they were saying. But ever since covering those websites, the 2015 one and the 2022 website, if you haven't already, make sure to check them out first of all, okay? And once you've done so, you'll understand. So after checking those out and also rereading the quotes of Kenny Veach himself in his old comments, which are no longer available to view on the videos, make sure to check the link above as that will explain it. I came to the conclusion that it feels as if maybe the reason why the M cave hasn't been found is because everyone has been looking in the wrong area based on a key location mentioned over time and consistently, and that is Nellis Air Force Base. So some of you might be wondering, why? What's the significance of that? Well, what I'm going to do now is I'll just briefly read to you the quote by Kenny Veach. Kenny Veach said, "I am a long distance hiker. This ain't nothing. The times I've been out there, I once came across a dark M-shaped cave near Nellis Air Force Base," etc., etc. Let's tie that in with Google Earth, because this will all make sense in a minute and you'll get what I'm talking about in terms of locations, okay? So on Google Earth now, if we just zoom in a little, as you can see, Sheep Peak, and we zoom in a bit more, we have Joe May Canyon, which heads north and goes all the way up here. If I just flip the screen, you would have seen this several times in the hike videos by all those hikers, including Kenny Veach, as well as the hike map analysis videos. And this basically goes all the way over Wild Horse Pass, and then to the left, down here, which is known as Picture Canyon. Within this spot here, as I zoom in, is where Kenny walked past the supposed M cave, which Sean later analysed as the covered M cave, and then came all the way back out, exiting Picture Canyon, and then all the way back to the start. Now, this I just wanted to highlight because this is the hike route where Kenny was and where Kenny supposedly found the M cave, hence why he returned to this location on camera to relocate it. But he failed to. Now I wonder why. Well, let me just reiterate what he previously said in that comment. "This ain't nothing. I'm a long distance hiker. Once out near Nellis Air Force Base, I stumbled across a cave that was dark and deep and shaped like the letter M." Okay. Well, kind of problematic that, isn't it? Because Nellis Air Force Base is nowhere near here. If we just type it in, okay, you'll see where it leads to. So excuse that marker there. If we just rotate the screen, look what we have. Nellis Air Force Base. It's even there. You can see it on screen in that writing. Nellis Air Force Base, which is here. This is the base, as you can see. Now, yes, you could say it looks a bit like Area 51 in terms of the runway. You got the planes, you got helicopters, jets, whatever, all present, okay? As said, the problem is, if we measure the distance, let's just randomly put it there and select miles, if it will let me. Where's miles? There. Add point. There we go. And we go all the way to, where is it? Is it this one here? Yep, there we go. about 20 miles. 24, depending where you put the marker, 24 miles away from where Kenny was hiking out and all the other hikers. So with that in mind, if Kenny said he found a cave near Nellis Air Force Base, no wonder why he couldn't find it if he's in a completely different location and 24 miles away from where he was last time. Do you see what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense. It's kind of weird. I mean, with such distance and, I guess, visual difference as well, then you should know you're not in the right area. And I guess if that is truly the case, and, you know, hikers and other people searching for Kenny and the cave, well, they're going to take Kenny's word and his descriptions and will go to that location Kenny was, hence this location round here. Now, before we go any further, let's just head back to Nellis Air Force Base just to see what is present and what is nearby. So I'm just going to flip the screen if possible, just get an idea. So you see the distance over that way, which is kind of like towards Sheep Peak. Don't know if you can see it or not. Oh, there we go. Look how far away that is. You know, you can't be hiking in this area and say, oh, there's like lots of caves and we're in a canyon, because we're not. This is kind of like an urban area because you've got all the buildings and houses nearby as well as the base. And in addition, you will have restricted land, obviously, most likely in this area here. Because, look, you got the neighbourhood, all these houses, but I'm sure there's a big fence or barbed wire which restricts you from going any closer to the base. You know, look at these buildings here. I'm actually surprised that it does the 3D mode, because I'm sure it didn't work with the last time. So we'll look into that later, okay? But you get the idea in terms of the distance out there compared to this base. So if Kenny was hiking in this area, like how and why and where? Well, really the only place I could think which might be a possibility due to the closeness would be, like, as you can see, Frenchman Mountain and this like canyon area. Now I don't know if this land is restricted by military or not, I might be wrong. Red Horse special capabilities and a steel gun range. Well, that must be accessible to public. So I'm just trying to take this in mind. I apologise for the directions because we're all over the place right now. Okay, so don't get too confused with the compass. We're not facing north, that's for certain. So Frenchman Mountains, we should try and rotate it. It is near to Nellis Air Force Base, so if there was any caves nearby, that could explain the vibrations, whether it be military equipment or not. It could also explain that possible underground entrance to the military base as it's nearby. So it would make sense if there's potential tunnels and connections which go off into the mountain range, because there are similarities with Area 51. We will get to that shortly, okay? So I assume no hikers have been here because there would be no need to. So yeah, near to the military base. Just want to try and get to ground level, or at least get a clearer perspective of if there is anything present. I'm just going to tap the button once. We are now facing north, okay? Just flip the screen. There is discoloration, but that's just probably because of the timing of when it was captured on satellite. So at first glance, there does seem to be a few roads and pathways. As said, I'm not too confident about this side of the mountain range, the open, because it could be military land. Someone will have to confirm that down below. But let's just zoom in a bit. Is there any holes, any darkness? I actually like the quality of the, the screen. It's very clear for once. You see all the ridges. You see the potential holes and dark spots. So just let me know if you see any potential caves, M-shaped holes and stuff like that. Should be the darkest spots and areas. Obviously there will be cracks, gaps, ridges where the sun doesn't quite shine and where shadows are casted. But yeah, it's a little bit sensitive to screen. Just drag it slowly. You can see some kind of pathways on ground level, but I don't know if they're public pathways or not. It is very steep. That's understandable. As you can see, if it's steep on here, it's going to be even worse in real life. Doesn't look like the sort of terrain you'd be walking over, but we can take a look on the other side shortly. Haven't really seen anything myself quite yet. Can't imagine it being too high up because he did say, Kenny, it was on ground level, or at least on a side of a mountain. So it must be somewhat accessible for him to get to it in the first place. Is that shaped like an M? Nope. I think that's just like the ridge of like an overhang, and that's more of what do you call it? A V-shaped maybe? Okay. And we look up this way. You kind of got a path which goes in and out like a snake's tail, but I don't know if that's a walking one, if people have been up there. Oops. It's kind of glitching out, pardon me. So yeah, and it is quite high up. I mean, at least one of the mountaintops will be accessible, Frenchman Peaks, because it's an actual marker and there is pictures in the spot. Okay. Nellis gun range. Well, this looks like a main road. I don't know if it's classified as a highway, but it's definitely a main road. Okay. So there must be some kind of access points. I think it's probably best if we look on the other side of the mountain range. This is quite steep, as you can see. What do we have here? This definitely looks like some kind of pathway of some sort. Goes in and out. Yeah. And then bends round. Yeah, this definitely seems more of a used one. And it comes back down here. And I guess it goes up and over. But then it does bend back round and it comes up here. Oh, what's that? It looks kind of green. I don't know what that is. Is that a hole? Is that a proper cave? I don't know if it's just because of the angling of it, but it kind of stands out because you've got a proper pathway, as I showed you, which I'll just flip back to. Can you see? It's quite distinguishable. Goes in and out all the way down there, and it seems manageable. And then it comes back and goes up this way where it's quite steep, and looking at it, it does look like some kind of hole, bit of reddish, bit of green. That might just be the camera lens or the colouring of it, but it does look like a hole in the side of a mountain. I don't know about it being a M cave, but yeah, interesting. And then I guess the pathway ends, maybe. So I don't know what that's all about. But nevertheless, we're on the back side of the mountains, which do look less ragged, if that's a word, and rough. You know, it doesn't look as bumpy. It doesn't look as dark grey as the other side does. I don't know if that's just because of the timing of the photo or something, or the type of rock. That's more of a shadow. It's kind of hard to show on here because it's not a real picture. Okay. The ground seems a little bit more flatter to walk over. Obviously, it's still steep. Okay. Yeah, there's not as many dark patches, is there, on the back, which would symbolise maybe a cave. But still, undoubtedly, it's definitely steep. And it's quite some range. So, we've looked on this side, and we've had a little look on this side. over this way, this seems a bit more rough. But you never know. Frenchman Mountain. Might have a little look at that shortly or another time. But yeah, this definitely seems like some kind of road. As you can see, you definitely have tyre marks as well in the ground. There's quite a few of them. Okay. Zoom out a bit. Keep it ground level if possible. So, access to vehicles. Maybe Kenny parked up and then decided to walk about. It's doing that again. Yeah, you can let me know if you see anything. I'm trying not to rush or be too fast. Sometimes the camera might go a bit wonky. I mean, in certain areas it does seem more manageable to hike in comparison to the likes of Sheep Range, parts of Jomay Canyon. Don't think I see anything else. But you can, whereabouts is it? You can see how it overlooks the military base. I don't know if you're allowed up here or if people have been and used binoculars, like how people have done at Tickaboo Peak, trying to look at Area 51. But yeah, interesting. As said, can't really see too much standing out on this side, but you never know. I just thought it was worth suggesting because with the comment of Kenny saying Nellis Air Force Base as well as other people and other hikers referencing it, you thought, well, this is the closest hikeable place, the closest place which actually has mountains and rocky terrain, which you would assume for a hiking spot, which is near a military base and near the military base described by Kenny. Over this way, we don't want to go too far out, okay? A quick little look at Frenchman Mountain. Whoa, what's this? What the hell? You got a road. Oh, that looks very awkward. What the hell? That looks like it's on a slant. Can anyone confirm if they've been here or seen it themselves? Is Frenchman Mountain accessible via a vehicle? Because this does look like a road, but it looks like a very, very awkward one. Yeah, so if anyone can confirm whether this is accessible Frenchman Mountain via a vehicle with the use of this road, let me know down below, because it looks treacherous. Now, I don't know if it's the camera angle or it's a bit wonky. It's not so bad in real life, but that looks pretty extreme, especially the bloody zigzagging. What the hell is going on here? That looks rough, definitely. Not seen something like that before. Up and over and all the way back down. Jesus. And then up here. Oh, it's kind of glitched out, that mountain top. You can see. Whoa, look at that. Oh, how close we can we get inside it? Whoa, what's going on here? Whoa, look at that. Going into the Earth's core, almost. Joke. Yeah, we can have a proper look at this maybe another time if you would like or something, but I don't think Kenny mentioned anything about Frenchman Mountain in the past, so maybe it's not that. I just thought this location here, is there a name of this canyon? So we can use it as a reference or something. It doesn't look like there's a name of a canyon here. There's no names showing up on screen. It's near a firearms facility. And what, LVMPD? Is that police? Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department range. Okay. So it's near that. And it's also near, onto the other side, Nellis Steel Gun Range. So could that be what Kenny was talking about? He found casings and shells, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so up to this point, hopefully you understand what I'm getting at, that the place Kenny Veach referred to in the past where he supposedly found the M cave is near Nellis Air Force Base, in which Nellis Air Force Base is in fact at the outer skirts of the city of Las Vegas, which is nowhere near, actually 24 miles away from Jomay Canyon. So how could you get that wrong? How could the individual get that wrong in terms of the location and where they originally found it, and then go back out there 24 miles further away, and you know, you obviously don't find it because it's obviously not here, and that's why other hikers haven't found it either. So hopefully that bit makes sense. And the mountain range, what I showed you, which many of you may not agree with in terms of location because you're used and programmed to Sheep Range, Jomay Canyon and all that. The reason why I presented you that range, this new place, is because it's the closest to Nellis Air Force Base and the closest place to hike as well, which Kenny may have done. That's why he found the cave. And it would explain, as said, the possible vibrations, if it's the Air Force Base nearby, military operations taking place, helicopters, vehicles, jets, any of that, that could be causing the vibration going through the ground, and it might reach some of the caves nearby, if there is any caves nearby. And it could explain a possible secret entrance as well, if it goes underground, you never know. Up to that point, it makes sense. Now, let's just cover the misunderstanding part right now, because it is important. So maybe Kenny did make the mistake of calling it Nellis Air Force Base. Maybe he was referring to Nellis Bombing Range. Nellis Bombing Range, I can't quite pinpoint where it is exactly on the spot, but maybe I can get a picture up on screen as I'm talking, possibly. But it's within the desert area, the Mojave Desert, where Kenny Veach did hike out and where all of the hikers who have been looking for him in recent time and in the past have been as well. So that would make sense. In terms of the bombing range, obviously it's not accessible via the public because it's where military operations take place, and I guess it's kind of unsafe as well, whether it be the operations taking place or if there's any radiation or maybe unexploded devices possibly and stuff like that. It's just restricted land basically, but it's within the area nearby where the hike took place. That would make sense. Maybe it was just the wrong choice of words. He meant bombing range and not the base. So yeah, hikers and all those people went to the location. But this is why it's a bit of a problem. We need clarity, especially when it comes to language, wording, and especially when it comes to locations. Because like what Jeff Clark said in the past, when it comes to giving out coordinates, directions to certain hikes, certain spots, coordinates, the altitude, the depth, the gradients of places, people need to know for certain exactly where what is what, and is it safe, yes or no? Is it long, yes or no? What's the actual distance? What's the actual time? And all of that. And as well, is the area accessible and safe? Because in a sense, when Jeff Clark went himself, it was kind of a blind attempt because no one else has actually been there in terms of a canyon nearby when originally looking for Robbins Rock, if you remember that. If not, there'll be links up above or down below which explains all of that in terms of the hike analysis videos and stuff like that. It'll explain it all, okay? So when Jeff Clark went, you know, got more than what he bargained for in terms of the, I guess, complexity, the dangers, the slopes, the rock walls, the way it was structured. It took longer than expected and it was a struggle, which is understandable, and he was kind of surprised by it, and the way it looks on maps is very different to how it looks in real life, but he was really the only one there because no one else had been previous, so you couldn't give out certain details and say this is exactly where it is. But then in other locations where people have previously been, whether it be Jay Silverheels, Jeff Clark, you know, they want to be specific and say exactly what is what, so you know, you don't end up going all that way for nothing. or injuring yourself, wasting money, wasting time, bad things happening. You need to know where you stand, especially when it comes to a situation like this, an environment, because it's all important. I think at one point Jay Silverheels might have over or underestimated certain locations, certain ravines, saying, oh yeah, anyone can stroll up there. That's what Jeff Clark was getting about in the past. Jeff Clark was saying how Jay Silverheels was saying in certain areas and certain ravines, you can just stroll through and it's perfectly fine. But the reality was it is quite dangerous and it is quite tough. And if the wrong upcoming hikers or visitors listen to the wrong bit of information, false information or underestimated information, it can lead to them getting hurt or bad things happening to them because they're not prepared and they're not aware of the actual truth because it's not been stated. So that's why it's important when it comes to that sort of stuff. So reiterating and reinforcing what was said at the start of this video, if you've got an upcoming hiker that checks out Kenny's comment on YouTube, also checks out certain articles, it all links to Nellis Air Force Base. You might load up Google Earth, Google Maps, have a look around near Nellis Air Force Base and think, what's the nearest possible hikeable place? Well, it's this mountain range. Well, I must go there. It would make sense, wouldn't it, when you're basing it off those locations? If the original comment said Nellis Bombing Range or Groom Lake or something, you'd think, well, I've got to head over that way. But that's not the case. It's over that way. But it is interesting, though, how just about everyone that has, looked at Kenny have all looked at, and the ones who have physically gone there have all gone to Jeremy Canyon and focused in that area. Despite reading over the lines of different locations stated, everyone has all, been in consensus with Sheep Range, Jeremy Canyon, Pitcher Canyon. And why? Why would you read something that says a different thing but go against it and go elsewhere? Just simply because of that MK video Kenny uploaded to his channel. I mean, an exaggerated comparison would be if, let's say, you had someone that was recording a video in Spain saying that they're trying to find a cave they previously were looking for, but it was actually in Germany. But yet anyone that does seek out to try and relocate that cave all go to Spain and not Germany because that's where the footage, that's where the origins is at. So when you look at it that way, it's like the footage doesn't matter. What matters is the actual location and where it was originally stated in the first place. And in this situation, it's Nellis Air Force Base. So why is everyone going over there when they should be going here? Because there is caves, there is mountains nearby and stuff. So let me know what you think in the comment section. Was it a big misunderstanding? Was it poorly worded by Kenny? Or is that where Kenny originally was at? And for some reason he got confused and went to a completely different place, and so did everyone else who followed. Let me know down below. That's it for now. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you'd like to see maybe a continuation of this location that was talked about in this video, let me know down below. Maybe we can do some kind of Google Earth, Google Pro, because this was done on phone today, on mobile. Maybe next time go on PC, go back in time or something, change some of the settings around and see if we can find anything else, okay? But we can do that at a later date. That's it for now. Thanks for watching and goodbye.